So there is also a possibility, this is something very, very new that we have been playing with for the last several weeks, the possibility to recreate movement.
Welcome everybody to OpenCV Live. My name is Satya Mallick and I'm the CEO of OpenCV.org. A few weeks back, we covered CopyCat.co. This is the generative data augmentation tool by OpenCV.ai. And we covered how you can actually augment your data very simply with just a few clicks using CopyCat.co. And today we have with us the CEO of OpenCV.ai, Anna Kogan, who is going to show us how we have expanded the tool to include human pose estimation. So you can improve the quality of human pose estimation by using this tool. Now, before we do that, with me always, as always, is Phil Nelson, who is the Director of Content and Creative at OpenCV.org. Phil produces the show, and if anything goes wrong, it's his fault. Hi, Phil.
That's right, everybody. Good morning, Satya. Good morning, Anna. Apologies in advance for everything that I'm certain will go wrong, but it is me once again, your co-host with the co-most, the second banana who is second to none. I'm also your plus one and only, always and forever. It's Mr. Nelson if you're nasty, but you, my good friends here on the show, can call me Phil, and I'm here to remind you of a few things that we do on every episode of OpenCV Live. The first of which is a giveaway to you in the audience. Stay tuned. Later in the episode, we will give away a free OpenCV University course of your choosing to our lucky trivia winner. That will be after the presentation, so stick around for that. We're also taking questions from you in the audience, and we'll do our best to provide answers directly. So use the Zoom Q&A button in the Zoom chat here if you're in Zoom. If you're not in Zoom, ask your question in the chat system wherever you're watching the show, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, etc., and we'll do our best to get to those. But before we get started full on, Satya, we had a big launch this week. OpenCV AI Competition 2023 is now open for registration. Would you like to tell the folks a little bit about it this morning?
Yeah, so OpenCV AI Competition, this is becoming an annual event. We have launched a competition, and the focus of this competition is to use any application of your choice. It doesn't matter. You can build any application using OpenCV. And that, you submit a proposal. Now, unlike other competitions, like previously we used to give away hardware, etc., this competition is a pure software competition. The reason we still ask you to submit a proposal is to get you going, right? If you do not take the first step, you will probably not join the competition. And as always, if you want to get noticed, right, this is a very good platform. We promote this competition to our newsletter subscribers, on our website, everywhere. And I know people who have been able to raise money for their ideas using the competition. They have been put on the map, and we talk to our partners about it. For example, recently I talked to a very big partner about one of the competitors and showed a demo of what they had produced. So it's a very good place to get visibility. And you can obviously build things which are beyond OpenCV also. You can use, PyTorch, etc., to build your model, but make sure that there is some OpenCV component to it. And the deadlines, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's all in the web page that Phil is going to share.
Yeah, I've just put them in the chat there. I'll quickly reiterate the deadlines here for folks watching elsewhere. The preliminary phase is open right now. The preliminary submissions are due, which is just, you telling us what your idea is, letting us know about your team, come up with your team name. That is due August 31st at midnight Pacific time, and the final submissions are due November 30. So we've got a nice long build period like we like to have on these to make sure that people have time to build something really cool.
I also wanted to announce, as part of this competition, Hackster.io has become a silver member at OpenCV.org. So thank you, Hackster, for supporting us. So this competition is partly supported by Hackster.io. They gave us a very good, they made this, for this particular competition, they made the platform available for free. And they also joined the silver membership.
Shout out to Hackster. as a nonprofit, we need these orgs to help us out and do a little bit of a trade, you know. So thanks, Hackster.
All right, so back to Anna Kogan, who's going to show us this amazing tool. I'm blown away by what we can achieve right now with this tool. Anna, it's your show now.
Thank you so much, Satya. I'm going to share the screen. Can you see it?
Yeah,
looks great.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm going to tell you about the KopiKat pose, the tool that we have been working on for quite some time now internally. But first, I'm going to talk just a bit about why are we doing that. So there are several applications for which we actually very much need to be able to understand human pose in 3D, to perceive their human pose, every part of human body, and also know the distance to them from the camera view. So 2D is not enough for the applications like AI trainer, where you want to produce a very, very detailed feedback for the athlete, right? For example, you want to focus on how straight are their legs, how straight are their arms, what are the angles between their parts of the body. You want to compute the number of the exercises that they made, and for that you actually need 3D pose recognition. It's a basic building block that you would use there. Me and my team, we built several AI training applications, and in them we were building custom 3D pose recognition services to be able to do that. There is one more big area that is growing much and much more this year, especially after the announce of Vision Pro headset. It's AR, VR avatar creation. So imagine you are doing something in real life, and it gets automatically post-produced in 3D virtual world. This is what we are talking about right now. This specific system that is shown here on the photo is from Move.ai. They require from 4 to 9 cameras to be able to produce images like that. And I believe that in our future, we are going to see systems that are able to do just exactly that, but using one camera of your iPhone. So imagine that you just put one iPhone as your filming device, and you are able to produce an innumerable amount of different avatars of different movements in 3D an existing world. So right now it's pretty challenging. So people who are using applications like VRChat, they are using hardware systems. This one here is an image from Sony. They are producing a system for motion capture. You can see these devices here on this person's hands, right, on both of them. There are actually 6 markers that you need to wear on the specific parts of your body, so that when you move, your image will be captured in 3D, and you will be able to replicate yourself in a 3D world, like AR or VR. So these are 2 major applications where 3D pose recognition is needed, but it's not limited to that. In many medical applications, in many UI, UX applications where you want to, move the interfaces with your arms, you would want to recognize different parts of your body and do it precisely and do it in 3D. So for that, as I said, 3D pose detection is a vital part. However, up until now, so these are some recent algorithms that I'm showing here. They are specifically struggling with pose exercises. So they are working decently well on kind of commodity movements like walking or talking or singing. But when you start doing something like that, you can see that, like when this person is, walking, it's working very decently. But when she starts to do the plank, the body parts, they start to move in different directions, right? There are 3 different algorithms. They all are state of the art, but they all misbehave here. Recently on CVPR, we have seen a very big amount of very new cool algorithms out there. And one of them was HMR 2.0, which is the state of the art in 3D pose recognition. And its results are shown here. And I would say they are definitely the best and an order of magnitude better, I would say, as compared to everything that previously existed. It's actually very decent. You can see it flickers in, some corner positions, but I would say it's like very mild. The biggest problem with this algorithm is that it works almost 2 seconds per image. So
Wow.
if you want to run real time, yeah, on a server GPU. So if you would want it to, like if you would want it to, you know, wait until it ends, you would need to 60 times more time than the time that you spent to capture the image. Which makes it not usable at this point for applications like I mentioned before. So nobody would want to, you know, do 1 minute exercise, then wait 1 hour, and then your trainer would say, oh, your leg was off, right? So same goes for AR applications.
It depends.
So
maybe the trainer would if they charge by the hour.
That is smart. But you know, we are basically on a way to democratize it in every sense, including charging by the hour. So we want to make sure that people are able to build algorithms just like this one, or even better than that, using the data. So we analyzed this problem. I mean, in OpenCV.ai, every week or so, someone new approaches me and asks whether we can make an application for AI training. So it's a really, really very much, you know, something that is very much needed and something that we have not seen, you know, really taken over the market yet. So most people who exercise at home typically do not use applications like that. There are some, like Tempo, for example, or applications from the Mirror or Peloton that provide a very nice analytics. But I believe that we are able to create algorithms like this one that are able to run in real time. This would grow like 2 orders of magnitude, right? So a typical training that you do at home, it would include some very nice feedback for you and would just make you better, make you train better, more efficiently and safer. This is the goal here. So before we jump into the details, I'm going to talk just a bit about what SMPL is. SMPL is a model of human body. It's anthropomorphic model. It was built based on measurements of many humans by Max Planck University. Max Planck University has a lab that is led by Michael Black, that is the world leader in this area. They produced this model SMPL quite a while back, I would say many years back, and nobody is able to kind of reproduce or recreate or make a competition here. So it's a very big achievement, I would say, in this area.
I met Professor Michael Black at CVPR. Their booth was right next to, like 1 or 2 booths away from our booth. And it was a pleasure to just see him sitting there, and I got a chance to chat with him. There's another thing about Professor Michael Black. When I was a grad student, he's a white person, obviously, Michael Black, and he worked at Brown University. So at this, it always made me smile.
White Black, yes, Brown?
Yeah, you know, high school joke.
Dad joke.
I started to think that it's good that there is no white university, otherwise it would be awkward, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's Liberty University.
Let's move on. So this SMPL model, it's notable in many different ways, but probably the most prominent fact is that it only has several parameters, 80 parameters to reflect all the person's body, right? So it reflects the height, the shape of the body. So people can be thin, people can be bigger in their complexion, but everything can be captured in this SMPL model. It also is movable, so you can move it, right? Just like you can see here, which we will very much use later in our presentation here. And generally, SMPL is the standard of industry. SMPL model is free to use under academic purposes, and you can also acquire a commercial license for it, and some applications are using it under commercial license, which I would say, I mean, it's a commercially successful product that again was built by university lab, which is also a significant advantage. So, I mean, it's unique in every way.
Yeah. So, how many parameters are there, Anna, if you remember?
Specifically 82. There are different versions of SMPL. There is SMPL X and also star model, and they differ in the number of parameters, but on average, it's the amount.
Okay.
So, going ahead, we are going to talk about how to predict these specific 80 parameters directly from the neural network. So this is basically how this network HMR 2.0 works, right? You predict all these parameters as the outputs of the neural network. And as a result, you get the full human that is, moving, and you have, their shape and everything, right? So you can actually see it here that these people here, they are pretty thin, and they are thinner than this person here. So this is how SMPL captures that. You can also, if I'm going back here, you can see that this SMPL model is also different, right? So it's bigger, the height is lower, the person is moving in different ways. So SMPL is able to capture all of that. Okay, going back, I'm going to talk a bit about the data, and the reason for that is I have this big intuition that is very much supported in the industry, including, I think, this lab that is led by Michael Black about the limitations in the industry, right? So human pose detection and 3D pose detection is not a new computer vision task. People have been trying to do that for many, many years. And since neural networks appeared on, computer vision scene, people have been trying to do that with computer vision, with neural networks, right? So it's not something new, right? But it seems that this area, to me, it seems that it's kind of stuck, right? So there are areas that are kind of solved. People detection, for example, it works very well, right? There is no kind of new, huge thing that you would open in the direction of human detection in every different conditions, including night, rain, snow, everything. But in this area, even though it's pretty common in the industry to try to solve that, or there are very, trackable kind of applications on top of this algorithm, it seems to me that it's pretty stuck. And I believe this is not because of the algorithms. I think the algorithms are there. And I'm sure of it because these algorithms, they work decently well on commodity, exercises and like walking or talking, singing, just like I said. But it seems that the data sets, they underrepresent sports activities, specifically like activities like plank or like push-up, pull-up, some very kind of unique forms of human body that is hard, kind of that you don't see otherwise much. So because of that, these neural networks that they are struggling when the person is lying down on the ground. So my intuition was like that, and we decided to try to fix that by understanding first what is the data set scene out there, what are the data sets, and can we use all the possible data sets, combine them all together, train something very good, and make an AI trainer. So this is one of the data sets. I'm going to talk about several of them. This is the first data set that I'm going to cover. This is called Fit3D. This is very, very, very good data set. And it actually took a huge amount of work to get it done. Everything that is related to 3D data sets is very complex. It's much more complex than 2D data sets because you cannot do that with, just, having a camera capturing a person, then annotating it. You need to do something specific at the time when you capture the data set because you need the distance to every point that you're going to annotate later, right? And because of that, you can see that this person is surrounded by many different, types of equipment. Here, you can see many wires. And also because of that comes the biggest limitation of this data set. It's only captured in single room, right? You can see that. All the scenes of this data set, they are captured in the same room. They have different people. They have different exercises. So something needs to be done to diversify this data. This data set is definitely very usable in the commercial, to build something that is working very well. So this is also an image, a data from this data set. It shows SMPL model here. You can see that this is not the person. This is the kind of mannequin that is moving instead of him and captures every movement. So it has full SMPL annotation, key point annotation, and imagery that is supplied. Next data set is called 3D or 3D people in the wild. As you may guess, as compared to the previous data set, it's captured in the wild. So they are on the street, on the grass, indoor, everywhere. And it was a tremendously hard job, as I can see, to annotate this data set. It also has full SMPL annotation to it, and you can use it to create a more diverse, representation of how people move and how people look. Downside of this data set is it's not specifically focused on sports, right? Which is, good and bad. Bad for our application, though. So it's, again, definitely usable, but underrepresents people who are doing, again, Planck, for example. There is a recent data set that is called UBody, and it's only one domain called Olympics that is shown here, but it actually has many more. It has a domain that is called singing, sign gesture language, and many others. So it's a big and very full data set, I would say, that also has full that also has full SMPL annotation. It's restrictive to non-commercial use. So to get UBody, you would need to use your university email and submit a form on their website. And another data set that is probably my favorite here is one more. Yeah, Satya?
And I wanted to ask whether it is university only or non-commercial.
I'm not sure, actually. I will need to double check. I think you need to use university email, but you may want to double check me. Yeah.
Okay.
I absolutely love the title of this data set.
As you can guess, this is, there is some very witty, description to every letter here, but yeah, it's called Bedlam and I love it. So it's a huge, it's created by Michael Black's lab and it's from CVPR 23. It's like very fresh and new. It's probably the biggest synthetic data set of people that exists out there. What they did is they basically took SMPL models. They did a very big and very tedious job around being able to dress them. And there is a big part, in the paper that describes how to dress these people, how to dress these models. And you can see that, they all are dressed differently. There are also scenes when there are many people, way more than one. They are dancing, they are holding hands, they are hugging, they are doing whatever. What is important for us, it also has some sport activities represented. And it's big, it's like really big. It has several hundred of 1,000 of images that are annotated with SMPL, with full SMPL models. And they are, animated. So you not only can create algorithms that recognize person in one frame, but you also can create algorithms that are able to, for example, compute the number of sit-ups, right? Or do some analytics for the movement, not just one, frame. So it's like very big and very important. It's synthetic data, and you probably can see it from these images, right? It's not fully realistic, but it's very close to that, I would say. Bedlam is also, it's free to use for non-commercial purposes, and you can request a license from the creators of Bedlam.
Do they have any mechanism to specify what clothing? It's a static data set. Can it be? Have they published tools for doing what they already do?
They did. It's fully available on GitHub.
Wow. So there can be, one can imagine that you can even have a prompt-based thing where, you have dressed version, you can prompt something and some specific dressed version of a person comes up. Let's say, you could say that I want a 200-pound man wearing a suit, etc., and this data comes out, right? That would be pretty interesting if somebody builds on top of that.
Definitely, yes. I'm not, so right now they definitely don't have this prompt-based, interface. Yeah. And I'm not sure how variable the clothes are, but I would suspect that yes, everything that you say is doable. And I personally, I love Bedlam. I think it's kind of, so far we have not seen its full potential yet. So what the authors show there, which coincides weirdly with my intuition that I had for quite some time now, that they take the vanilla Bedlam data set and they take the vanilla neural network that is being used in 3D pose detection for quite some time, and they showed that just with Bedlam, it gets so much better. So the problem is in data, not in the algorithms. That's what they showed. What they stated there in the paper is that it underrepresents sports activities still, and you would need another bigger data set or like specific data set to be able to work to create a sport-based data set. But Bedlam is great and I love it. And I think that we will be able to see how it is used not only in sports, not only in pose detection, but also in other areas too, because it's great, really.
Yeah, and interestingly, on the website, I was just poking around there, and they use Unreal Engine for these renders here. So there's a whole other, you know, just having that kind of drop-in level sequence tool is pretty badass.
It is, and I mean, I do believe like several months from now, we are going to see so much more from that. So yeah, it's very good.
And a general comment about this sports, you know, the reason this is very good for exercise-based things is that, you know, when you're doing exercises, the pose matters so much. A slight change in pose completely changes the exercise. Even something like a push-up, right? If you don't do it correctly, only your shoulders and arms would be engaged. But if you do it the right way, it engages your core also, right? So you feel the pressure in your core with certain kinds of push-ups. But if you change the hand position just slightly, then you can be just engaging your arms and shoulders only, right? So these minute things matter a lot in exercise.
Yeah, you can also seriously hurt yourself, like by doing those repeated exercises just slightly incorrectly. It's a great way to screw up your shoulders, your wrists, you know, lots of places.
I actually talked to several professional trainers who are providing their services online. And this is basically exactly what they told me, right? So they want to be able to detect and provide very, very fine-grained feedback related to even the angle of the shoulder, the angle of the arm, even slight difference. So this is something that they very much need. And to be able to build a system that is able to provide such a feedback, we actually need like very precise detection. And key point-based detection is not enough here, probably.
Right. And like Phil was saying that you can hurt yourself very easily. So I took some boxing lessons, not so, you know, pretty recently. And first of all, first thing I noticed was that initially when I started, I don't punch people around, so I don't have that practice. So I was just using my arms. But then the trainer showed me how to use the whole body to throw a punch. And it was just surprising how heavy the punch landed. And then I hurt my wrist because, you know, my wrist doesn't take that much. So I could land really heavy punches, but then I also hurt my wrist.
You didn't know how powerful you really were.
Oh, that's right. I was very shocked, and how much effort it takes. I didn't realize that I would be completely out of breath just boxing. It looks like, oh, you're not doing anything. You're just standing there, jumping around and you know, throwing a few punches. But I was just shocked. It's almost like I was running. I mean, that level of breathing is required. So just a small anecdote there.
Same goes for badminton. So I play badminton like 3 times a week. Yeah. And like I'm pretty trained there. So I have been doing this for 2 years. And for a person who, you know, just starts doing that, you know, I'm not very tall, right? And I'm not very big, but I'm able to make like very hard, like the shuttlecock like very high and very far. And this is because I do it with my full body. And to be able to actually, you know, learn that, you need a feedback from some system. You need at least to watch videos of you doing that, because even if you think that you're doing that with your full body, you probably are not before you know, start to feel it. So.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a bit about the pipeline that we built to be able to solve this data shortage in the sport industry and 3D sports. So just, you know, to recover the train of thought here, to make an AR trainer or AR applications, we need 3D pose. To do 3D pose, we need 3D pose data. And there is no very big, very represented data set with 3D sports out there. So it's not very easy. It's actually pretty hard to capture a data set with 3D sports because you need some special equipment for that. But you also want the data set to be diverse. So to do that, we chose the path of using recent advances in generative techniques, stable diffusion. We chose to use SMPL, and here is what we got. So I'm going to show you how it goes. You input an image of a person just like this one, put it into CopyCat pose, and the output is a variety of images of different people in the same pose, like this, with different camera angle, all like that, right? It's completely different people standing in different environments, but they all have the same pose. What's great about that is that for each of these people, we know specifically, precisely, we know their SMPL. Because we know their SMPL, we know everything that we want to know about their shape, about their size, their height, weight, everything, right? So we are able to produce images like that are fully annotated. Notice that this way we can also make the images very diverse. So there are images, we can make images of people training outside, inside, with different lighting, different backgrounds, different skin color, different complexion, everything. Let's do that once again. Same girl, different pose. We get images like this or this. Let us just, take a look at the variety of images that we can get using this technique, right? So we can get, people that are training in some, sports facilities, people who are training at home, capturing difficult positions like the one here with plank and push-up, right? So we are able to cover specifically what we need in our data set. So we also are able to modify the height and the size of the person, as here. You can see that this person in the top left is much higher than the person in the top right. They all have different body shape. And this is because, again, we use SMPL on the hood, and we are able to modify that. For SMPL, we acquired a developer license to be able to use it. And so we are fully able to use its full potential here. I'm going to show just some images representing the variety and diversity of the images that we get with this, this technique. This is the 3D key point annotation that we get from these images. Again, because we know SMPL position, we are able to understand the full position of the person, including their even fingers, and as you can see there, so we can go fine-grained. This is the same pose, but taken from different camera views. Again, because we are fully in control of our environment, we can change the position from which we are viewing the person. We can make the camera lower or higher, and we can actually specifically represent the use case. For example, some training facilities that they would want to put their cameras closer to the ceiling, right, and view the athletes from above, and we can recreate just the same thing here without any, additional changes to the procedure. And again, so we are focusing here on sports movements. So we are trying to recreate all the movements that we can find. A big chunk of the data set consists of the same Fit3D data set. Remember it from the start. But we are now able to move these athletes from the confines of the single room that was used for Fit3D dataset into these, continuous, I would say, like uncountable amount of environments that we can recreate. So there is also a possibility. This is something very, very new that we have been playing with for the last several weeks. The possibility to recreate movement. And if we are able to do that, we are now able to provide the full feedback based on the movement, not only one exercise. Now you can see there that the environment flickers, but the person's position remains the same, right? So we are able to train the neural networks on the full movement that she does. Again, we know the full SMPL that is shown on the right here, right? And based on that, we are able to, again, estimate the movement, understand some problems with the movement, and count the number of repetitions. There, the person doesn't move, but the camera moves, and we can see that there are some applications that require that too. So based on that, we were able to prepare a full diverse data set that we call now KopiKat post data set of 100,000 images, and it comes live during July. In the next 2 weeks, we are going to push it live. And please stay tuned and see the announcement about that on OpenCV newsletter. We are going to promote that to be able to be basically able to make sure that we advance the state of the art in 3D pose estimation in sports and AR.
What would be the license for this data set, Anna?
It's going to be just like for Bedlam. So you are going to be able to use it for research purposes, but you are also will have to buy it for the commercial purposes to be able to build on top of that. I'm also going to know that it's the start, right? Our plans are pretty big for that, and we are and we have all the tools to create a significantly bigger even data set of images, close to 1 million images with the same technique. So this is the first version of KopiKat post data set. Please stay tuned to hear the updates on that during the next couple of weeks.
That's awesome.
And the next thing is you can try it online on your pose. You can go the full pipeline, so you can upload an image of yourself or someone else who is doing some specific exercise or just standing, and we will return and we will send you images, just like I showed before, right, of the same pose, but in different lighting conditions with different camera views. All of these images we have the full annotation for. Just to give you an idea, we encourage you to go to the post CopyCat.co and try it yourself. So this is all that I was gonna cover today. I hope you liked it, and I hope you got some questions about that, and I would be very, very happy to answer.
Yeah, this was very informative. I did not know about a bunch of stuff that was very educational. Thanks.
Yeah, it was nice to get that little state-of-the-art walkthrough, Anna. We'll take this time now to do our giveaway to folks in the Zoom audience here of one free OpenCV University course. If you're just joining us for the first time, or you need a little reminder, the way this works is that I am going to ask a trivia question to you in the audience, which I have just come up with during the presentation here from Anna. And the first person to answer that question in the Zoom chat window will win the OpenCV course of their choosing. You can check out what courses are available at opencv.org/university, which is another new big launch that we did at CVPR just a few weeks ago. Huge announcements from OpenCV lately. So get ready to answer. Like I said, the very first person to answer will win the course of their choosing. If you have won in the last couple of months, please don't answer and give someone else a chance to win. And also, please wait until I finish asking the question.
Because some people are already,
they're in my head. They're in my head.
Yeah. I don't want to accidentally answer the question by giving an example.
So, during the show, we've talked a bunch about a specific way of annotating pose data. It's simple annotation. What does SMPL stand for? What does that acronym stand for? Partha, the trivia shark, popped up there. Hey, I mean, at least it took one full second this time. So, congratulations, Partha. The answer we were looking for there was skinned multi-person linear model. Congratulations. Please send one email to phil@opencv.org with the course you would like. As I said before, you can check out what courses are available at opencv.org/university.
Partha has won this, how many? I think 3 times.
This is like maybe 3-5 times. Yeah.
Right.
Our resident
and just because we have a limitation that you cannot win twice in 2 months or so.
That's right. We call it the Partha rule.
It was incorporated into the webinar because Partha kept winning.
I think
Yes,
every
indeed.
time that I'm on the webinar, Partha wins. So I'm probably lucky side.
You're good luck. You're Partha's good luck charm. Congratulations, Partha. So we've got a few good questions here. Starting with Tiana, I would like to know, is it possible to compare the position versus a reference and report the difference with this model?
Exactly. And this is the goal of AI trainer. So when you have two SMPL models, one of a trainer who, for example, does sit-ups, and one of the athlete who is also doing sit-ups, you can compare them, count the difference, and highlight the areas where the athlete's position is differing, right? It's important that we know 3D, both of them in 3D, so that even if they stand at a different angle to the camera, we know them in 3D, so we can rotate them just the same way and compare fairly. And this is, the whole goal of, being able to predict in 3D. So yes, exactly. And this is the big idea around this industry.
And it's not trivial at all, right? Because the trainer could have very different body dimensions compared to the subject, right? You could have a tall person with short legs, or for example, Michael Phelps has a very different body type than, say, Usain Bolt, right? So it's a pretty challenging problem.
Exactly. And this is why SMPL is great, because you are able to separate the parameters that reflect the different, height and shape of the body versus the parameters that are about the movement of the body, right? So when you kind of make them the same, right, the parameters about the height and the weight, what you are left with is just the parameters about the movement, and you can be, very, very clear about that. So I had experience of leading at OpenCV.ai. We were building a model that is able to provide this feedback for CrossFit, and it's incredibly hard to do when you just operate in 2D, not 3D. And even if you operate in 3D key points, it's pretty hard or even impossible to provide them good detailed feedback about these specific things that differ between the kind of good exercise and inefficient / harmful exercise. So this is why SMPL is great.
So does SMPL do a good job when we are, let's say we are doing ice skating, right? The ice skating as in performance, right? As an Olympics sport, or CrossFit where you're doing splits or something like that, right? I don't know, very extreme poses. It still does a very good job.
So SMPL is able to capture all of the possible positions of human body. So if we are talking about the capabilities of the model itself, we are not limited here. What we are limited with is the models that use SMPL to predict the pose there, and they underperform definitely in this environment.
Got it. But SMPL has the full flexibility that it can. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that. We've also, Zach would like to know, has any work been done on this to use the this method to try to anticipate what would the next expected pose would be, or the next expected action based on the current key points and stuff? For example, if someone has one leg in the air and is leaning forward, it's likely that they're going to be taking a step, and you could sort of guess that that's the case. Has any work been done on that, Anna?
So yes and no. Many of the methods right now, they are using some form of tracking with like predictive tracking, right? So you have common filter that is able to take into account several frames or many frames from behind to be able to predict the next sequence of frames and kind of, this way smooth the movement. But it's only several frames, right? It doesn't predict kind of 3 or 4 full seconds that you need to take the step. So the answer is yes and no, essentially.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Tiana would also like to know what are the limitations currently with CopyCat regarding, say, like frame rates, or not frame rates, like resolution of the images, both uploaded and the images you will get back.
So to be honest, I don't know whether we have a limit for the uploaded image. The limit would probably be on this side of the browser, that you cannot upload, too huge image. It will just, stuck. But it needs to be like really big, like, I don't know, 50 megabyte or so, right? So on our side, we would definitely downsample that. We do not use the original resolution for every image. But on our side, like all the images that I showed you here, this is the resolution that we work with. So it's pretty big and decent to be used. The only thing that CopyCat pose is not great at, I would say, right now, is the faces. You probably were able to see that at some places the faces were not fully photorealistic. So everything else was like very photorealistic, but the faces, you could kind of capture the difference. This is because our brains are specifically built this way, that we are very good at detecting faces, and we have a specific center for that. And once there is even a slight change, we pay full attention to that. So this is fixed with a bigger resolution, but this is not affecting our use case at all. If you need it, we would be able to create it just at bigger resolution and solve this problem.
Great, thanks for that.
So Alex is the technical lead. Alex Leshuk, who is commenting on the, who is also here on the webinar. He just says that we are using 1024 pixels, biggest side of the image at our backend.
Thanks, Alex. We appreciate that. People were asking also about, obviously Mark Zuckerberg famously having some issues with legs, but a couple of people mentioned in the chat they weren't clear on what level of articulation this data has for let's say like heels and even individual toes and fingers. Is that something that is part of this? Is it possible to use this like for that kind of data, or is it a little bit too granular?
So I would say toes are a little bit too granular. We have, as I showed, we have the annotation for the fingers in the data, right? But in the common kind of, if we are talking about SMPL, it has toes. If we are talking about key point data annotation, in the commodity data annotation, people only focus on the fingers and the hands and not on the toes. Generally, it's like very precise on the level that is higher than fingertips on your legs, right? It's very accurate.
That makes sense. We've also got someone Solo on YouTube is asking about medical uses. Obviously, I can think of a ton here, but have you heard of anyone using this sort of data yet to try to, notice when people may over time, since this is relatively new, there's not a lot of like over time data yet, but people say, for example, if they start, one of their hips starts like dropping a little bit routinely, you might say, okay, their hip's starting to degrade. Are you aware of anybody using this simple data set to try to, or this method to try to track people's health over time in terms of how they move?
There were definitely methods to that and some products that attempt that. I'm not aware of real medical applications yet that are based on this technology. My personal intuition is that we are not there yet in terms of the accuracy of the prediction, but we might be.
But there is also this other issue, right? When people are moving in their natural environment, you cannot be putting cameras everywhere to monitor them unless they are in a medical facility or something, right? That's why, that's why, this kind of activity is better done when you have things on the device you're carrying. For example, an iPhone would tell you what is the level of asymmetry in your movement. Actually, I don't know whether it is the iPhone or the Apple Watch, but one of them tells you.
The health app will in fact tell you how like stable you are when walking, and it will like warn you.
So it gives you the level of asymmetry and things like that on
your gait.
Yeah.
Yes, so let's see. We've got a couple more questions from YouTube here. One person on LinkedIn is asking, have you seen any folks using this for, say, estimating how to properly cut clothes, how to tailor clothes for people, like dresses and suits and things like that?
No, I haven't, and I think it's a great idea. I'm not sure, maybe somebody does that.
Actually, when I talked to Michael Black, he said that that's a SMPL model, not this the CopyCat thing, but SMPL itself is used by the fashion industry. They have that's one of the common license cases for them.
Oh, wow, that's great to hear. I would actually imagine that people would also use the prediction models at some point to do that once they are accurate enough again. So it's unlocked by the level of the prediction quality. But it makes total sense to do. So I heard there are several. I think there are several online stores and several companies that are doing. They estimate your size by the photo, right? I'm not sure whether they use SMPL or not, but it makes total sense that they do.
There's a company called Embody, EMBODEE. I don't know whether they still exist, but 5-7 years back, maybe 10 years back, they were building this fitness model, right? Whether a piece of clothing will fit you or not, and how will it hang, if it is a tight fit clothing, how will it show, etc. So, and it was actually one of the co-founders of Embody was the person who did the Matrix bullet scene. So yeah, so
John Gata.
No,
John Gata?
I'm forgetting his name. Unfortunately, should not be forgetting. I know him, but it's slipping my mind right now. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, so we're got about a few minutes left here before we get too deep into the weeds. I'd like to Satya, next week, or not next week, 2 weeks from now. Remember, everybody, the show is now every 2 weeks. I would like to quickly remind everybody, let everybody know out there that there is a new official OpenCV.org YouTube channel. That's at OpenCV Official on YouTube. You can find that, subscribe. From after this episode, new episodes of OpenCV Live will premiere there in addition to Zoom and LinkedIn, etc. That's where we'll post things about OpenCV AI competition and some of the other collaborations we're having with some of our partners. But in addition to that, Satya, you want to talk a little bit more about OpenCV University, which we'll be talking a bit more about in 2 weeks. But it's a huge thing and really successful launch at CVPR. I just want to remind people that it's going on.
Yeah, so OpenCV University, we launched at CVPR, and the main idea is that initially when we started out, we were providing a series of courses in computer vision and AI, right? Deep learning, etc. Now, pretty much the series is over. If you have taken a few of our courses, that enables you to get a job in the AI industry, right? But we wanted to make it more organized, right? We wanted to make sure that people can join these programs and there is a path to getting a job. So as part of OpenCV University, you obviously have the courses and the programs, which is a collection of courses. But after you have completed some of these courses, we will help you in preparing for a job interview, right? And this could be it's things like, having mock interviews or giving you a list of questions that will help you in the job interview. And these things are coming. We do not have it completely done yet. It's not released yet, but that facility, we are calling it a Career X. And then based on your background and the courses you have taken, etc., we may also be recommending you what kind of companies would be right for you, what kind of opportunities are available, and also check your preparation. That it's one thing to get done with the course. You may have learned a lot. You may even have gotten 90%, but it is a slightly different ballgame to crack a job interview, because the things that come naturally to you, you also have to articulate them properly in a job interview. So we'll help people out in those areas as well. And we also, it's all, things are in discussion right now. We want to also create a community of people who have taken the courses, and they can share their experiences, their resources, etc., what has been helpful for them as part of OpenCV University. So that piece is also coming.
Yeah, check it out. It's a great resource and a great opportunity. As Satya said, job interviews seemingly are only getting harder. Luckily, that's not an issue I have currently, but I hear from my friends that are they're out there putting their feet on the pavement, and it's rough out there. So getting this kind of direct feedback and guidance from people who are in the industry, you know, not some random YouTuber that has never had a job in AI or computer vision, but real industry professionals, is a huge opportunity. We're butting up against time here. Anna, would you like to let everybody know if they want to follow you on LinkedIn or wherever, where can they find you, and also more information about KopiKat?
Yeah, please follow me on LinkedIn, and we can connect there. Also, if you have any questions about KopiKat, please reach out at KopiKat@opencv.ai or to me directly at anna@opencv.ai. I'm going to post it on the chat here too.
Awesome. We really appreciate that. Join us in 2 weeks for OpenCV University and OpenCV AI Competition 2023 kickoff episode. We are already open for OpenCV AI competition, but we wanted to have a little bit more of a sort of, you know, introduction for the folks out there who maybe have never participated before or are not really quite sure how to do it. And we'll be telling you about that in 2 weeks. You'll still have plenty of time to sign up for the preliminary phase, which is open until August 31. Any last thoughts, Satya? You want to take us home?
Well, there's just one thing. Some people may be confused between opencv.org and opencv.ai who are not familiar. So opencv.org is the nonprofit organization that maintains the OpenCV library. And I'm the CEO of opencv.org. And we have a for-profit arm of OpenCV, which is opencv.ai. And we do consulting. And Anna is the CEO of opencv.ai. And we do consulting in anything related to computer vision and AI, not just OpenCV library. So if you have any consulting needs, please reach out to Anna. And this is, this is a very strong team we have in several places, but the main office is in Cyprus. So that's it. I mean, I think thank you everybody for joining. It is a pleasure to have you all on these webinars. And thank you, Phil, for organizing this. And thank you, Anna, for this update on copycat.co. Amazing tool. I'm really impressed what we have, the team has achieved in a very short period of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yes. Have a great time out there, everybody.
A couple of weeks later.
in 2 weeks. Take care of yourselves out there. We will see you at the same bat time, same bat channel, 9 a.m. Thursday, 2 weeks from today. Take care of yourselves out there. Take care of somebody else if you can, and have a great day wherever you may be. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the show. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to tap the little bell icon to be notified when new episodes drop. This week's episode was brought to you by OpenCV University, a series of courses and career guidance brought to you by the experts behind OpenCV. Learn more at opencv.org/university.